Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Movemates video. I am Matthew, of course, joined by my wonderful co-host and best friend.
Callum.
Hey man, great to see you. So, although this episode is a bit overdue, we're back with another Loki review. This time of the second episode, I believe. So yeah, a couple weeks late with this. So apologies about that. But hopefully from now on we'll be back with our weekly reviews of the show and up until it ends in a few weeks. So yeah, I'll just pass over to Callum to explain whether just a breakdown of what we're going to be chatting about today and stuff, and how we're gonna break it down. So yeah, off to you, man.
So we'll be talking about spoilers about the episode, and to give you a brief summary of what happened in this episode because it was a little bit ago. We open on the timekeeper police section trying to take down this unknown Loki variant, and throughout the episode, Loki's forming theories as to how they're evading capture, and Loki figures out that this variant is hiding within apocalypses, and then at the end of the episode they travel to the apocalypse that takes place in the 2050s, I believe, and they discover that it's indeed a female Loki variant. I don't think not a lot happens in this episode, so I don't think we'll necessarily have a lot to say. More just long discussions about a few things rather than short discussions about a lot of things.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, as Callum said, not much to talk about, but there is some sort of overarching themes that we'll break down as well. But yeah, just before we kick off today's review, thanks to everyone who's supported us recently, who's subscribed, liked, all that good stuff. Callum and I really do appreciate that loads. And if you want to check out any other Loki reviews, you can check out our Loki playlist, and you could also check out our email if you want to email us about any suggestions or anything like that. Moviematespodcast@gmail.com. It's down in the description. So yeah, I mean, the main crux of this episode is it introduces a female Loki variant, Lady Loki, as she's referred to here. It's very interesting because this comes more into play later on in the series with episode 3, but there's a lot of curiosity whether she's Enchantress or she is Lady Loki or she's like a mix of the two. Where do you think? Well, what's your overall thoughts on the character first, and then how do you think she's gonna sort of develop? Is she gonna become Enchantress? Those kind of things. So yeah, well, off to you, mate.
Well, I'm unconvinced about this similarity between her and Tom Hiddleston. I think if she is playing, a female Loki, and that's all it is, then it's poor casting on Marvel's part. If you're trying to say this is the same character in female form, so I think they're, completely different. So that has not convinced me as of yet. So I do think she, especially with the name Sylvie, I think she must be, an amalgamation between Lady Loki, sort of the costume of Lady Loki with the personality and the blonde hair of Sylvie, the Enchantress. And I'm disappointed, if I'm honest. With that revelation, if you're gonna go Lady Loki, I'd sort of like to see. I mean, I don't like Loki as a character in principle, but if you're gonna say this is the female Loki, fully go in on it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Like, I think the Enchantress is definitely quite an obscure character in the comics. I mean, the only form of media I'm aware of her was like the Avengers cartoon, like 10 years ago, whatever that was. She was a reasonably sort of big character there. But yeah, I think she kind of reminds me of Jodie Whittaker in a sense. But with that, I don't think she clicks particularly well with Tom Hiddleston. To be honest, like I do think her performance is great, but I don't know, like I almost think maybe like an Anne Hathaway or something would be more suited to this role, just in terms of like a like for like kind of, even like the dark hair and stuff like looks a bit like Tom Hiddleston, but it is hard to find that sort of look-alike who sort of emulates the charisma of Tom Hiddleston, who is undoubtedly like phenomenal here. But yeah, it's the one thing with these Disney Plus shows, isn't it, man? Like they build up to this big reveal, like, oh, who's it gonna be, and it's always the obvious. Like I'm sort of just accepted now. Like there's gonna be no major twists here.
Yeah.
Maybe like the TV and the timekeepers are the only ones that like we're sort of clutching at straws here with theories, but maybe they're the only ones we can theorize about now. But yeah, I was quite disappointed myself, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, Loki's a shapeshifter. The variant was hiding their face. it couldn't have been more obvious, and Marvel just needs to get better judgment as to what to twist. I mean,
Yeah,
at least it
definitely.
wasn't, episode 4, where they had this in their mind huge revelation. I think it was the end of episode 6. They revealed it was Agatha all along, and at that point we'd known that was the case several months before the show came out, let alone after it started being released.
Yeah.
Here, Sophia Di Martino was pictured on set, a year ago. So I was fully aware there was going to be some Lady Loki action. I didn't expect her to be the main antagonist of the series, or I suppose it's shaping up that may well be the TVA. But it really didn't play out like I thought it would, and once again with the Disney Plus shows, it played out more disappointing than I expected. I had no expectations for this show, and I still went, oh well, if Lady Loki's in this, she's not going to be a big presence. I know she's a big presence, and currently being presented as the main antagonist.
Yeah, I think how disappointed we are in the reveal. It is a credit to the show in itself, because I think we both admittedly didn't have massive expectations for it. But the fact that we actually care so much now when a twist doesn't satisfy us shows how much the show we're invested in, and how much we actually enjoy it. So I think the show's done really well to sort of take us by surprise, and it's going in a direction where I didn't think it would go. Especially with the timekeepers and the TVA, which this episode really solidified to me that they must be a facade. Surely, like it seems like there's something weird going on. Obviously, it's elaborated more in episode 3 when it's, well, I'll not say in case anyone hasn't seen it yet, but I imagine you have. But anyway, yeah, I feel like Mobius has got to be up to something, or someone in the TVA is being a bit snaky or something. I don't know. Something's going on.
I do feel like the employees are maybe unwitting, and it's either Judge Renslayer or the timekeepers themselves, or the timekeepers don't exist and it's someone else behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Not gonna theorize on that because it can only lead to disappointment. Let's be honest. But of course, we see in this episode that they're hunting the variant, and they show sort of a holographic image of a few Loki variants that they've hunted throughout time. And this is their attempt to try and convince us that the variants can look different, depending on what branch timeline they come from. And I'm absolutely not sold, because if you're just stepping off the main timeline, there's no reason why you should look different.
Yeah.
Even in say for example, if we're talking about Tobey Maguire, if you're saying, oh, 80 years ago, Captain America, caused a branch timeline, where he stepped off the timeline. There's a branch timeline created, and now, in 2000, Peter Parker looks like Tobey Maguire.
Yeah, it does make sense.
If you want to say that, fine, but then that timeline has been pruned by the TVA. So then that Peter Parker shouldn't exist for him to potentially cross over into the MCU. So the only explanation for that is the multiverse. And if they're explaining that the multiverse is just a collection of branch timelines, then there's no reason for other appearances to exist. I'm unconvinced by
not sold on
I'm
it.
unconvinced by the appearance of Lady Loki, because if she is just a shape-shifted Tom Hiddleston Loki, then I feel like she would resemble just the female version of him, not just a random blonde woman. So either she's a multiversal Loki, or he's just shapeshifted to look nothing like himself for whatever reason. But in episode 3, she tells us some of her backstory, and it doesn't really line up with Loki, even if you are taking the branch timeline aspect into consideration. So so far it just does not work for me. So unless it's that the TVA has been lying about the whole thing, and you just can't trust anything that they've been saying, if they're saying that everything they have said is true, it's just that they're bad guys, then I feel like the logic of this show is massively let down.
Yeah, I think the whole premise of the show is based on mystery and based on the unknown here, and I just feel like by theorizing about that, like you said, it is going to set us up for disappointment. I feel, because I think what you've mentioned there about the appearance of the variants looking different, it doesn't make sense. Like, you're 100% spot on there. So maybe we'll look silly in a few episodes time when it realizes it was all fake and things. I hope that is the case, but I'm not convinced yet.
Yeah. I mean, all we're saying is it doesn't make sense as of yet in the context of
Yeah.
the facts they've presented.
Yes.
So if
Yeah.
you say the TVA are liars, the timekeepers aren't real, their explanation of the multiverse is bullshit, then I think that they're in the clear.
Yeah, agreed. Um, you know what, with that, mate, I think this episode, it builds up to quite an interesting sort of ending. I think you said there it's like a 2050, around 2050, like a apocalyptic event in like Alabama or something, where like it's a huge tornado, which I think it's very interesting. Although I don't think they make the most use of it, because a lot of the action is just shot in a supermarket, when like they've just added a few sort of noise effects and made it look like there's a storm outside. I get maybe the budget for the show isn't as big as some of the movies. Of course, I get that, but I feel like in the third episode specifically, like that's where it goes up a level in terms of the dynamics, the just the environment, the aesthetics. Like it's marvelous, to be honest. And with here, like I don't know, with these episodes, I am kind of getting like a Doctor Who-esque vibe, where like they're going off to these different sort of planets, these different apocalypses and stuff, and there is that sort of companion vibe there with Loki and Lady Loki. So it is. I don't know if you got that, but I kind of feel like that's maybe why I do like it so much, because I'm a huge fan of that. But yeah, that's how I
Yeah,
feel.
when it came to Doctor Who, I was always more about the time travel episodes rather than the space related episodes.
Yeah.
So if you are looking at Doctor Who in that perspective, you're quite unlucky, because it's about 80-20.
Yeah.
You have you know uh the Vincent and the Doctor, and you have the Vampires of Venice or whatever, and you have certain good historical episodes, but it is like 80% dealing with aliens and stuff. So it is very more that side of Doctor Who, but
Mm-hmm.
I definitely see the influence. Like, you know, there are a lot of shows that if they want to do like a bottle episode or a side story, they're always like, yeah, let's go to an old alien mining town. There's episodes like that in The
Yeah.
Mandalorian, Rick and Morty, Doctor Who, and now Loki. So it is very, it does conform to sort of the
It does.
sci-fi
Yeah.
TV genre.
It absolutely does, mate. It's a classic.
Can you hear all the noise that's happening around me?
No, I can't, mate. I can. You're all sweet. You're all sweet.
Thank God.
Yeah. But yeah, on that, mate, I don't have anything else for episode 2 of the show. In terms of notes, anything from yourself?
I've got just a few points.
Of course, go for it.
Just a question of character from you. The episode opens on a Renaissance fair. Did they appeal to you?
I've never been to one. Never been to one, but I don't know. I think they're certainly interesting. One thing I do quite like about this episode is the rendition of "I Need a Hero," which
Absolutely.
brings me back to the Shrek days, back in the day. But yeah, no, I Renaissance fairs. Never been to one, but when I think of Renaissance fairs, the first thing that comes to my head is that episode of The Big Bang Theory.
Mm.
When they go to Renaissance fair, that's about it. What about yourself?
Yeah, I don't think it does appeal to me. I've never got escapism from dressing up and pretending to be someone else. Because I don't think I can effectively separate myself like that. I don't think I can go, oh, I'm now a medieval knight, drinking mead. I don't think I could, pretend that I don't have problems because I'm now, in medieval times.
Mhm.
Which I think a lot of people are able to separate themselves like that. It's that and like live action role play. If someone was like, yeah, let's do some Marvel live action role play, like we can do Civil War, you could be Spider-Man, I'd be like, maybe I'd go for like, to see whether it works out, but I feel like in principle it would not be my
Mhm.
kind of thing.
Yeah, Halloween costumes is kind of the limit there, isn't it?
Even then I'm just doing that to like conform to society,
Yeah.
where this could be funny, like the I haven't really dressed up for Halloween in a long time, but before or since the last time I did, I dressed up as a child for a few instances, but we never went trick or treating or anything, because let's be honest, you know there's two sides to trick or treating, both of which I think are negative. Either you're just rocking up to a stranger's house, inviting yourself to be poisoned, or you're rocking up to a stranger's house, dressing up and expecting them to give you presents. Essentially, like it's a rude assumption. Like, I mean, I
I've never
guess,
done it.
you know,
it's very
have you
American,
not?
isn't it? No, no, I've never really.
I expected you to have.
I don't know. I feel like where we're from, it's not as big a thing as it is in America. Like like it wouldn't be as common. I don't know. I feel like it just wasn't. I've never done it. It wouldn't be my thing. I regret I didn't get the chance to do it because it does seem like fun. But yeah, like you hear some of these like stories of like kids being poisoned or kidnapped and stuff on Halloween night. You think, yeah, maybe not.
I mean, it seems like, it's like, a creep's dream. Kids
Yeah, it
like,
is. Yeah.
not knocking on their door, like asking to be, given stuff. It's essentially, picking a kid up in your van, like with the offer of candy, but they've come to you. It
Yeah,
just
yeah.
seems like I don't think I would let my kids do that,
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I know what I mean.
especially not under intense supervision.
Yeah. Well, with COVID, like it's probably won't be a thing for a while as well. But yeah, remains to be seen.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose the adults will be vaccinated for the most part, and then the kids, aren't expected to be vaccinated.
Yeah,
So I mean,
true. Yeah.
it's not like people are respecting the guidelines on the holidays. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, the government does usually loosen them on holidays, but I think last year was just like too bad around Halloween to even be discussed.
Hmm.
But as I was saying, last time I actually dressed up was the time we went to a friend's party, and I dressed up as Peter B. Parker, and I had my
Yeah, it was
whole
good.
sort of homeless vibe going on. With
Yeah.
I had the mismatched shoes and the big parka. And you were Wolverine. But
Yeah.
it sort of slowly devolved throughout the night. It was like the mutton chops are gone, the claws are gone,
I
the
think
dog tags are gone, and eventually I think you said I'm Danny Zuko now.
I think half yeah, I think half the costume still is at Jack's, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? Like I think dear knows where those claws are, mate, to be honest with you. But obviously that was a fun night. I think that's the only time I've properly went to a Halloween party actually. How did we get
Yeah,
on the
yeah,
Halloween?
same as
Where
me.
else? Yeah. But yeah, we'll have to hopefully we'll go this year to someone's party or
What
something.
will be your next choice for a costume?
Oh, that's a good question. See, I don't know. Just it depends. Like, if I was just going by myself and like I didn't have to like, you
You
know,
just wear your Joy Division t-shirt and say you're Tom from
that,
500 Days of Summer.
I quite like Marty McFly as an idea. I quite like
It's a lot of layers for a party.
yeah, Indiana Jones. Just the
That's mine, bitch.
yeah, I know that's yours. I wouldn't go as Indiana Jones. But if I was really pushed for one, I'd probably go for like um I can't decide, man. I don't know. Who would you? Indiana Jones would be yours?
Indiana Jones would be my instinct.
It's a
I
good
was
one.
sort of just normally like scroll the the pre-bought costume kind of ideas, but
Hmm.
there's a sense of there's a lack of joy in that. I like sort of piecing together my last costume. So I think I probably would go Indiana Jones,
Yeah, that's
provided
a
I
good
was
one.
in the right fit condition.
Yeah, yeah,
Because I
that's a
mean,
good one.
in Temple of Doom when he takes off his top, you're like, wow, he looks surprisingly great.
Yeah. To be
Harrison
fair,
Ford.
I heard Harrison Ford it really injured himself during the filming of the fifth one or the sixth one, or whatever one it is now. Like apparently they're going to CGI him to look younger, which I find really strange.
No, I
Yeah,
haven't heard this.
yeah, they're CGI him to look younger. Just like they didn't do that for Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, so just have him be
Yeah, and it's
retired or
like,
something. Like it's
when has that
stupid.
gone well? The like,
I know.
the best like age reduction CGI we've ever seen is in like Ant-Man, with,
Yeah,
with
agreed.
Michael Douglas,
Yeah.
and every other attempt at it is disgusting, and in Ant-Man it's kind of okay. Like, how can you do that for a whole film? I know that's what they're planning to do with Alfred Molina in Spider-Man: No Way Home,
Oh
but
God.
I'm assuming he just doesn't occupy that much screen time. But to have your like central protagonist, DH for the entire film,
Yeah.
it's gonna be ropey.
Yeah. Agreed, mate. Agreed.
So this episode, we see that Mobius has a real fascination with the '90s, particularly jet skis. And it just
Yes.
made me really sad that he's never been able to ride a jet ski. The TVA, is his entire life. Whether he was, created by the TVA, in fact, is called into question in the future. But it just made me really sad. Uh, I just hope that at the end of the show, provided he's a good guy and provided he survives, that he gets his moment to ride that jet ski.
1,000,000%. I think Owen Wilson does such a great job of making the character so likable. I mean, just oozes charisma, and yeah, I
Yeah,
hope
because I
he.
mean, I don't like him, but
Mhm.
somehow I really like Mobius.
Yeah, he just seems like a sort of lovable sweetheart, doesn't he? Hopefully, I hope they don't like I wouldn't surprise me if they do this, but like I really hope they don't sort of make him like a villain or something, or he dies or something like that. I hope he just does get to enjoy life, enjoy retirement or whatever, and jet ski away.
I saw an Instagram post that I found pretty funny, and it was a picture with the three timekeepers, and it was comparing them to other characters. The middle one, is sort of blue and reptilian, so they said that resembles Kang. That makes sense to me.
Yep.
Then there was the one on the left, I think had sort of longer hair. They said that could be Loki, and then the one on the right, literally like just was yellow with like a slight mustache shape, and they're like, that's Mobius. I'm
Movies.
like,
Yeah.
I'm like, come on.
Bit of a
So
stretch.
I think they're suggesting that somehow, after this, after this season, they become the time gods, and then they, go into the past, and everything's because time works differently, and they're sort of displaced from time. I guess it could be possible that people that haven't been born yet are actually the timekeepers. So I
Yeah.
mean, it's technically possible, but it's not happening. Let's be
Mm-hmm.
honest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely feel like there is some bigger bad at play here. Like the whole twist of the show can't be that Lady Loki is the villain. You know what I mean? Like there has to be something more there. So I definitely feel
Hmm.
like the TV are up to something, or maybe even like I hope they don't twist it wrong and like they sort of pull the wool over our eyes and say, "Oh no, it's actually Loki's been planning this evil thing all along." Because let's not forget, like this is the Avengers Loki, so he's still like it's not as if like this guy's had sort of like this moral epiphany where like he's fought together with Thor and Ragnarok and stuff and died a hero against Thanos. Like this guy is a killer, like you know what I mean. So it wouldn't surprise me if they do kind of do the old switcheroo and say, oh, he's just pretending to be a nice guy. But I don't think if I were a betting man, I'd say they won't do that because they have sort of shown a more emotional side to his character.
And I think he's just an absolute dumbass at this point.
Yeah, they say like he's the god of mischief and stuff. Like his powers are okay. Like he doesn't get much opportunity to showcase them. To be
I mean,
honest.
in this in the sec in the third episode, he somehow develops telekinesis, and he like tosses a building back that was falling on him. And I'm
Yeah,
like, what?
yeah, so that.
I think this would have come up in the Avengers if he had this.
Yeah, I know.
Are
Yeah,
they,
yeah,
are they
that would have come in
suggesting
handy.
that they do say that the variants all have slightly different powers? Do you think he's developed a power by becoming a variant? Because I mean, he seemed very
Potentially, yeah.
familiar with the power. In episode 3, he was like, I'm able to do this. There was
Hmm.
there's no question or hesitation. So I mean, I don't know why that didn't come up before.
Yeah, it's bizarre. It is bizarre. I don't know. I actually thought about that a little moment. Yeah, maybe that could be a potential possibility.
So I think we can both agree. Whether we liked episode 3, or whether we liked some choices made in the show so far. I think we can both agree that this show has a very very strong premise. Them sort of diving in for the first time, into the real
Hmm.
minutia of time travel within the MCU.
Yeah.
And I was just wondering, do you think the premise is strong enough for the show to work with any character? Because Loki was pretty much the reason I expected not to like this show. And now that I love the show, I wonder whether it's because of him or in spite of him. I feel like, do
Yeah.
you think this could work with a variation of any character?
As in, like, keep the TVA, but just have like a replaceable character,
Yeah,
have time travel adventures kind of thing.
yeah. I mean, I suppose there's only a few people. Like, I think it does have to be an anti-hero, because I think if it was Captain America, there's no redemption arc. There's no concept of maybe. I mean, what if it was a Captain America variant, and then the variation thereafter is Hydra Cap or something,
I
or
think that could work. Yeah, I think
the variant of any other sort of anti-hero character within the MCU. I think if it was like Red Skull, and the variation is another version of Red Skull, you'd go, well, yeah, he's evil, obviously.
yeah.
I don't think there's any redemption arc for Red Skull, so I suppose has to be an anti-hero. But do you think it could work with anyone else?
I think it could potentially work with more like sort of B-list characters like Valkyrie or Iron Fist or someone like that. Like if you want to revitalize the Iron Fist character, maybe have him in some kind of weird time travel kung fu adventures, or like Valkyrie or something. Like Valkyrie would maybe be too similar to Loki in the sense that Asgardian kind of things, but I think maybe yeah, like that those kind of those more grounded characters potentially. I think there's I think there was like a character in the comics like was it like Space Ghost Rider or something, or like like Punisher Ghost Rider, like something like that would be good. Um, but yeah, like I think it's definitely a good format for the show where like you could replace Loki with like an equally sort of likable character, and take it from there really.
Yeah, because I mean, I think you probably have to commit to it being sci-fi, so go for either like a space or a magic character.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
think
Yeah.
it being Captain America that doesn't necessarily work. I think if you're mixing time travel, it should be with. So that's everything I have to say on the episode. Would you like to go into ratings?
Yeah, of course, mate. So I think this episode is a really strong one. I think it improves on the first one, and it helps to elaborate on the mystery a bit more and get us excited. So I'd have to rate it a 9 out of 10. So I think it's I can't really, you know, put a finger on what it's missing, but I think it's been a very strong start to the show thus far. What about yourself, man?
So, as normal, the first episode was loaded with exposition, because they're establishing the show, from there. But, for once, that really didn't bother me because I think it was all incredibly interesting, especially the video with the timekeepers explaining the concept of the sacred timeline. Whether that's true or not, I thought it was really interesting. So, I actually kind of missed that in this second episode, where it is a bit more action focused. And, I do think the reveal let itself down. Because I don't think that's an issue of being let down by your own expectations, because it's just that Marvel needs to get better at assessing what's a twist. Either
Yeah,
present that as obvious, because we know it to be true before the show even came out, or do something surprising and present it as a twist. It doesn't need to
yeah, I see what you're
surprise
saying.
us every time. Just know what things should be surprising. That would be the distinction I would make there. So I think this episode was maybe one slight notch above, one slight notch below episode one, but I do think it is superior to episode three, which we'll be talking about soon. So I'd probably put it at an 8.5.
Yeah, I had a really good discussion there about that one. I'm really excited to see where the show goes on. And for this, it's weird to think like we're recording like the episode 2 and 3 review in the same day. So for us, there's only like 3 episodes left. So it doesn't even feel like the halfway point to us. I don't think it's a bit weird. But yeah, that concludes another Loki review. Thank you very much, Callum, for today, mate. Appreciate your
Thank you.
time, and thank you for everyone who's watched. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts on the show down below, and we'll always be in the comments, reading them, reacting to them. So yeah, hope you guys are all well, family and friends are all safe and well too. Take care, and bye bye.
Bye bye.